Comic-Con. I'm Jesuit Screen Rant, and we're with the cast of Marvel Rising. Hi, how you guys doing?
Hi,
Good,
great.
how are you?
I just watched the film, the series. It was great. I enjoyed it so much. The ensemble that they put together was amazing. My personal favorite, I'm not being biased or anything, is Squirrel Girl because
Sounds biased.
she I feel like she's the heart of the
forgive you.
team, and her lightheartedness and like lovingness of her friends is like a lot like how I am.
There is a lot of loveness.
Yeah.
There is a lot of love,
especially
definitely
between
between
you two,
yes.
your two characters.
Yeah.
But first off, Miss Marvel is a huge and one of my favorite characters, and I think especially now with representation, like you brought this character to life. You've voiced her for many series now. How does it feel to be the one to carry this and bring Miss Marvel from the comic books to the screen?
It's amazing. I feel really protective over her.
Yeah,
And she's also mine. She's all mine. Yeah, no, I have a sense of ownership.
And you guys can't see, but behind the camera we have Miss Marvel.
yeah. There's a guy over there dressed as Ms. Marvel. It's incredible. No, it's incredible, and I feel really fortunate that I get to be her voice. I think she's an amazing character, and she's needed now more than ever. And to be able to voice her is a huge blessing.
It's really great. I mean, she's pretty much the focal point of this whole story, bringing everybody together, and she's trying to, show that the world's not just black and white. It's, there are shades of gray. This one's for everybody. What about this project that immediately made you guys want to jump in and like just be part of it?
Marvel.
Marvel's
badass.
Yeah.
I've always kind of wanted to be a part of Marvel or something Marvel.
Definitely.
Always looked up to that, to what they do, and I love their filmmaking. It's really fun and exciting and entertaining. And then I read the script and saw that there's a lot of really cool messages in the script. One thing I love about our position is that we're kind of automatically role models for people, for kids, and what I think is really cool about this is that it's got really good messages, and I love mixing work with being a good role model.
You?
I love Squirrel Girl
Yes.
specifically. Marvel, take it or leave it. But Squirrel Girl is a character that's really dear to my heart because I feel, like you feel with Ms. Marvel, I feel like I talk like her. My perspective on the world is also mostly optimistic.
Yes.
And she's just a resourceful little warrior who gets things done, and I respect that.
Yeah. You?
I feel like Tyler said, it's Marvel, but also just like how female-led this is.
Yes.
We
Yeah,
haven't seen that
definitely.
before,
Definitely.
so to be a part of a project like this I think it's super groundbreaking, especially for kids, the age range that we're targeting, from like 10 to 17. Those are like the moldable years, so those are the years that really matter and really form the person that you want to be when you get older, or who you become when you get older. So seeing messages of inclusivity, relatability, empowerment, things like that will kind of empower the next generation to be like the force of change that we need.
Yeah, that's awesome. For your character Patriot, his character is cool. His shield was amazing. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
It's so versatile and everything. But he has this dynamic with Captain America where he's trying to get out of his shadows and try to prove to the world that he's not just his sidekick.
Yeah.
Describe to me the dynamic that he has with him and why it's so important for him to try to get out of his shadow.
Well, I haven't seen the dynamic just yet, but what I think the dynamic is when you're under your role model, you may sometimes overcompensate for being in his shadow and just trying to prove to yourself and to everybody else why you should be here. So I think in a way it's helped him, but he's working towards making that name for himself, and I think being a part of the team is what's going to help him. And if you saw the end of the film, you see that Captain America feels similarly to that, and allowing him to get his space so that he can be, who he's meant to be.
I think another really cool thing about this series is that, I mean, we've seen a lot of Thor and Iron Man and Captain America, but we're getting to dive into some of these characters that are popular in the comics, but the general public isn't used to seeing. Were you guys familiar with the source material before starting this project?
Yeah, I had heard a lot about Ms. Marvel, and she was a newer character too in the comic books. And a good friend of mine told me about her and was just like, "This is incredible." And yeah, then I read the comic books, and I got really familiar with the character through that, and then got the animation.
I did my research on Google. I haven't dove into the comics just yet, but I've heard quite a bit, like when they did the press release for who was a part of the cast. Quite a few people came up to me and was like, "Yo, like you're playing Patriot, like I love this character, you know, finally we get to see, you know, his background, his story." So there's people who are super familiar with him. So that just forced me to kind of get a better understanding of the character that I was portraying and to do it justice.
Thank you for your honesty.
I'll be trying.
Is it my turn? I had never heard of any of these characters before I signed on to it, and then I still haven't read any of the comic books, so we're gonna do it together.
Yeah, awesome.
We should. That would be great.
I knew about Squirrel Girl for a little bit before, maybe like a year or two, because I felt really connected to her, and there aren't a ton of female comedic superheroes. In fact, I think there are very, very few. And so when that came into the world, and also, you know, trying to find in my own world how I can make the world a better place, and looking for fictional characters that represent that, Squirrel Girl always kind of fulfilled that for me.
I think Squirrel Girl's catchphrases and nut puns are probably my favorite in this
Yeah.
series.
Love the nut puns.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Are we going to get to have another Marvel Rising series? And if so, will we get to go back and see how Miss Marvel and Squirrel Girl met and how their friendship had developed?
We hope so. We are. There is going to be more of us on Disney, but right now, I don't know if we have an origin story yet.
No origin story between them, because I mean it's very. I think that's the thing that like intrigued me so much about is that the different sides. Miss Marvel and Squirrel Girl had. They looked at the world differently, but they were best friends. So
yeah,
I'd like to see how they came.
But isn't that also in life? Like I have friends who don't agree with all of my
definitely.
views,
and those are the best type of friends.
But yeah, they challenge you and force you to look at the world in a different way.
Tyler, you've done voice acting before. How is it different going from being on screen and voice acting?
What was cool about this project is that we had kind of group sessions, you know, and sometimes everything is left up to the imagination, even responding to another character.
Yeah.
But for this, we were able to hear the character's performance and then kind of play off of that, which is really fun. But the difference for me is that I have to kind of portray all of my physicality and my emotion into my voice, and it's proven to be kind of hard if I'm not like overly exaggerated with my movements, and I kind of feel like I'm in theater sometimes when I've never done theater before, but when I'm behind the microphone in the booth, I feel very like animated, and I always have to like emphasize and exaggerate my movements so I can push what I'm trying to
make it more authentic.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm focusing too hard on the line, I'm not like moving around. It doesn't sound as authentic as it does when I'm actually like being physical with it. So I'm a lot more physical in the room than I would have thought I would be.
There's a bunch of like really important themes in this series. What is something that you want young adults and kids to take away from this after watching this series?
I think one of the most important themes is that it's best not to judge somebody based off of whatever preconceived notions you have of them, and really try to get to know someone one-on-one and you know, get on a personal level. And I think that's a lesson that we can all take away, and that we should all try to actually do more of, which we don't. And I mean, I'm guilty of that myself. So I really hope people get that from this.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you.
I also think there's an essential teamwork element to this. You know, this is a group of people, like we said, who maybe necessarily you wouldn't see in the same series or even in the same room, but they've been put together for this mutual cause that they take on because all of their skills separately come together for this greater good.
I'd probably say I'd like for like young teens and adults, see themselves in the character, the relatability of it all. We have different religions, we have different body types, different sexual orientations. So seeing all those things, that's everyday life. People, struggle with that.
Definitely.
So for them to see these type of characters who are superheroes, it just adds to, I guess, their confidence level, and for them to be like, okay, I see that they're like me, and they're making their way through a certain situation. I can do the same.
Camille, you are killing it.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
One last question. It's about New Warriors. Are we going to be seeing that come to the screen?
If I tell you, I have to kill you.
I had
You
to
know I
ask.
can't.
had to
You
ask.
know it.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here, and
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed talking to you. I enjoyed the film. I hope to see more from this series because I think we just opened the box with these characters, and I feel like there's so many different
True.
stories we can tell.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
thanks.
much.